Hello everyone and welcome back to Fandoms Podcast, your monthly home for discussion on games, TV, film, everything in between. As usual, we're your host Joe and the man who voiced classic Who like the plague, Tom. That'll be me. How we doing, Joe?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a bit warm, so the fan's on.
It's very warm.
I thought I could live without the fan, but I turned it off for like 10 minutes and it's just gone all stuffy, so I've turned it on again.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know what I've done with my fan, so I feel like a pig in a butcher's.
Wow. Yes. Today, we're talking about July's game releases. We're talking about Warhammer, we're talking about Moza, and we're talking about Star Wars Outlaws. So, what have you been up to in the realm of playing and watching, Joe?
What have I been up to? Well, what have I been watching recently? I've been watching The Acolyte. Mixed feelings about that one. Not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Can't really make up my mind. But yeah, I've been watching that. In terms of playing, I've been playing Empire at War. I've been playing Euro Truck, of course.
Yeah.
I've been playing a little bit of Marvel's Avengers lately as well.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I do you know what, actually I think we talked about this last month as well. But yeah, I don't know. I bought it, wanted to stream it. I haven't had time to fit it into my schedule, and then I just thought I want something that I can just unwind and enjoy the story of, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it in the past. Obviously, you can't get it anymore. But you can still. There's servers are still online, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Other people thought it was a bit of a grind or a bit sort of grindy. But I enjoyed what I did. I didn't finish it. I probably do need to go and finish it at some point. But maybe we can just play it together, maybe. Maybe that's a solution.
Oh, yeah, it's 2-player, isn't it? I forgot that.
Well, yeah, it is multiplayer for everything, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
solo or co-op, yeah.
That's an idea. Yeah, I might take you up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, as for me, yeah, the Acolyte finale, same. And in the same week, we had The Boys Season 4 finale as well. I've only recently started watching The Boys. I completely binge-watched all of it, not realising there was an actual active season of Season 4, and I didn't realise, and then I got to the end of it, and I was like... Each season was like 8 episodes long, which are an hour, which is a lot, to be fair. And I was like, oh, there's only like 4 or something. I was like, 4 or 5. I was like, oh, it's mid-season. I didn't realise that. Usually when I binge-watch something, there's not usually an active season on there, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to wait a few weeks now. We've got the finale. They had to make a little statement because obviously the Boys finale is it's quite political. It gets to the political stage.
Oh, yes, I've heard about this.
They had to make a statement basically saying, we made this like a year ago. We had no idea. This was in relation to the Trump assassination. They basically had to say that we had nothing to do with this. This isn't emulating anything. This was planned. This was written like, filmed a year ago maybe or something like that. So, which means
it was probably penned 16 months ago.
Yeah. So
crazy.
It was just crazy timing that happened on the same week, or I don't even know if it's happened on the same day. It was very close to the air and the real event. Yeah. So I watched that. I like it. IGN doesn't like it, but IGN, reviews. I've been playing my usual sim racing titles. I've been playing The First Descendant. I've gone back to Transport Fever 2, so I played a bit of that. The surprise.
Sorry. You went back to Transport Fever 2 and you didn't tell me about it?
Well, it was
kind of after that game.
It was kind of after our conversation about the new update that's coming and mods for consoles and all that kind of stuff. But it kind of sparked me to play. Yeah. So I played a bit of that.
Listeners and watchers, especially for listeners, you can't see my face. I feel betrayed. I got him onto that game. I've been trying to convince him to play it properly, and he played it and went, I don't know. And now he's playing.
What do you mean I don't know? I put like 80 hours in. in like a week or 2 weeks.
Rookie numbers.
That's a lot in like a week or 2 weeks.
Rookie numbers.
I've also been playing City Skylines 2, gone back to that. I've been streaming that as well, and I've been streaming some Watch Dogs Legion. And that sums up my sort of what I've been up to for the last month or so. Shall we, as usual, get to the gaming releases?
Yes, yeah, let's go
for
into
this
it.
month. As usual, most of this is probably out by now, by the time you're watching this. But it's good to kind of mention stuff, and I won't be covering everything, just the sort of highlights. And there's lots of free-to-play games this month. It is kind of busy. So, 2nd of July, First Descendant, game I've been playing, for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. It is a free-to-play third-person looter shooter, similar to something like The Division 2, Warframe, or Destiny 2. Everyone's saying it's more of a merge between Warframe and Destiny 2 than The Division 2. I suppose Division 2 is a bit different from it, but it's still a looter shooter, so yeah. I've been enjoying it. I've put like 50 hours in already. I really like it. It's good. I like it. Yeah. 4th of July, we've got Zenless Zone Zero for PC, PlayStation, and mobile. This is a free-to-play action role-play game. I think it's anime as well, or whatever. Yes, I don't know anything about that side. Anyway, that's it. 9th of July is Once Human, another game on your very big list from last month, Joe. First, we've got the First Descendant, and then we've got Once Human. Also, for PC, and that's free to play as well. Multiplayer open world survival game set in a strange post-apocalyptic future. Because you were definitely saying about survival games last month and wanting to play them.
Yeah, I'm just going to add it to my Steam library.
I did pin the list in our Discord DMs as well, by the way.
Yeah, but I forgot about it. And now it's in my Steam library.
Yeah,
and do you know what? I'm going to set it to install because I'd like to play that.
Okay. On the 16th of July, we have Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, the Skybreaker story DLC for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Yes. In my notes, I put PC, Xbox, PC, because clearly that means PlayStation.
PC Master Race.
That's not what I was going for, but fine. On the 17th of July, we've got Nobody Wants to Die on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, which is based in a dystopian world of New York in 2329. It's an interactive noir story. Noir?
Okay.
You know what I mean. Words.
Noir.
On the 18th of July, Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn for PC. It's an explosive Souls-like where gods and guns collide in a battle for future of humanity, which is an interesting sort of crossover, but sure, why not? 25th of July, we've got Earth Defense Force 6 for PC and PlayStation, which is a third-person shooter 3D action shooter. It's a sequel to Earth Defense Force 5, believe it or not, being called Earth Defense Force 6.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Nah, of course not. And then, to finish it up, 30th of July, Stormgate, PC, free-to-play, next-gen, RTS, set in a science fantasy universe. Okay, we're going to talk about Moza. Moza Racing. Yes. Now, I have.
Before I let you go into this,
yeah,
because we've talked about Moza before,
yeah,
and we've talked about my crazy plans of buying,
yes,
you know, the base and the truck wheel. I just want to say for everyone that has followed my my pipe dream, let's say, of getting one of these wheels, I have been doing some overtime at work to go into the Moza fund.
Oh yeah.
So overtime is at time and a half. I just building up that Moza fund. Sorry, you got new things to talk about. I just wanted to talk about the wheel.
Yeah, so I talked about how, you know, last time I sort of talked about saying about Moza is sort of my favorite sim racing hardware company at the moment. They always seem to, you know, be doing nice things and, you know, reaching that sort of market. Probably maybe not entry level, more mid range and up sort of thing, as they normally do, because their stuff is like quite high quality. And how they expanded with the trucking wheel, how they go into trucking. But they might want to rename their company name of Moza Racing now, because they've done it again. And this time it's outside of racing and trucking, hence why I say they need to rename themselves, because they're going into flight sim.
I don't know if I agree with you there.
What? They just need to
You still have...
They still need to call themselves Moza, not Moza Racing.
Well, yeah, but you still have plane racing. And we all know in both Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, there are racing series where people go and fly light fighters and
I get
fly as
the
quickly as they can.
nitpick, but like...
So I would argue racing is still part of their remit.
Okay, yeah. I mean, fair enough. Yeah, so they're going into flight sim. So I'm going to tell you all about... There's 3 pieces. Now, bear in mind, this is the starter. There's no actual bundles. You've got to buy these 3 individually at the moment.
Oh, piece by piece.
Yeah. But obviously, that's probably how they started with their racing stuff right at the start as well. I mean, this is only 3 very pieces, and it basically builds up just a flight stick. There's no pedals or anything like that. It's just a good old flight stick. So what you first have is what's called the Moza AB9 base, and that is the base. And this is going to cost you £549. So this isn't entry level. This is mid to high tier level when it comes to budget.
Yeah.
And this has 12 Newton meters of torque. It has dual servo motors, a single direction providing a constant 9 Newton meters of torque, and the system offering a peak torque of 12 Newton meters. This does sound more like a racing sort of base rather than because I don't, force feedback in a flight stick base. I'm not that versed in flight sim hardware. I have my own Thrustmaster T, is it the 19000M or whatever it's called? But I don't remember seeing anything about force feedback in flight sim sticks. I don't know about you.
No, I mean, look, I'm not that well versed in flight sims, just in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know enough to talk about it fully.
I think it seems very niche because it doesn't seem to be the norm.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, I don't see it as a necessity, I must admit.
No.
But I then did start thinking about maybe if you're playing like Flight Sim or something, Microsoft Flight Sim.
Yeah.
Then they can start to build in, if you're in like maybe turbulent weather, for example.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have real trouble controlling the plane, you can suddenly then start to feel that in the stick. Or again, if you're trying to bank hard, then you've really got to put some welly into it to get it to turn the way you want it to turn. So I can see it in that sense of making it feel more realistic, definitely. But I've never heard of that before. And I mean, I've seen a few different manufacturers. So yeah, it might be something totally new to the market. I'm not sure. There's probably people out there listening that know more than I do on this one, but yeah, it seems like a cool concept. Whether it's necessary or not, I don't know yet.
Yeah, and just by the torque, if we're talking about torque on a racing wheel, that's not entry level at all, because entry level is more like 3 to 5 maybe, and this is constant 9 Newton meters of torque and a peak of 12. 12 is like the Moza R. Well, the Moza R12, which is basically the very high end wheel, or not wheel, base. So yeah, it's not light. They've not started with a light one. They've started with quite a hefty one, which is interesting. And just like Moza Racing, it's got its own, or the wheels, should I say. It's got its own software with the Moza cockpit control software is what it's called. And this thing is constructed with aviation grade aluminium alloy and finished with automotive quality paint. So yeah, again, it's Moza, it's high quality, it's going to be that sort of thing. And I also have a compatibility list here as well. So Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 is in there, Flight Sim X is in there, War Thunder, DCS World, Star Citizen is in there, IL2, X-Plane 11 and 12. That's all they have at the moment, but that's still quite a range. One space sim, but everything else is your general flight stuff that you would expect. Yeah, I mean, that's just the base, and obviously this is in their sort of ecosystem and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it does feel like they're hitting the ground running with that. You know,
Yeah.
there's quite a few options in there for people. So yeah, definitely.
Then we've got that attaches on top of this base is the actual flight stick itself. So it's the Moza MH16 flight stick. And this is like an iconic fighter style control stick look. And it's going to cost you £169 alone. It's got a detachable module components, so it uses a pogo pin connection. So this will go into their sort of ecosystem again. I'm guessing they're going to make some sort of different flight sticks and all that kind of stuff, which you can detach and attach, just like you can do with the racing rims, or the trucking rim as well onto the bases. So it's a bit more modular.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, what is this, the MH16?
Yeah.
It looks very much like sort of a fighter jet control stick.
Yeah.
It does make me wonder if then they will bring out modules and obviously a bit to go on top for, say, I don't know, flying an Airbus or something.
Yeah, and I can imagine
it's a very different control stick and yoke, isn't it? So
yeah, I was going to say they're probably going to bring out a yoke at some point. Yeah.
So yeah, like obviously it'll be very different, and I'd be interested to see how that works in terms of the controls. But it'll be really cool to see if they bring out something like that again for the more, especially for the flight sim side of things.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people like to fly the big, cargo planes or jumbo jets or whatever. That'd be quite interesting to see what they do with that. With that modularity and that quick change stuff.
And this thing has 27 input signals, so it's got plenty to get you started with. That's on there, obviously. Probably use your keyboard as well in relation to that, but 27 is a good start with an ALPS 8-way thumbstick, which is just your fancy way of saying the hat switch, basically. So that's the flight stick. Now, there is a third option. There's the Z-axis module. Now, that you don't necessarily need this. You can just buy the flight stick and the base, and then you're set. But this is the Z-axis, which is going to cost you an extra £79. And it's just a module that goes on the bottom, basically. It serves as a yaw control axis. It's got 20 degrees range and an extension kit adding 97mm in length as well. And it automatically returns to center when loaded, or unloaded, should I say. And it's got 16-bit high-precision Hall sensor, and the module detects and controls rotation with an accuracy of up to 0.005 degrees. That's very accurate.
Wow.
Yeah. And it also features
That's crazy.
Yeah, a locking mechanism that disables the access function when only the extension function is needed as well. So it's more of those nice extras, I suppose, that you need.
So, sorry. This might help some people listening and watching as well, actually. Trying to get my head around this. So the your axis is your left and right.
Yeah.
Right, so if I want to turn my nose left and right, it's that. And also you've got your roll and your pitch forward, pitch back.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and altogether, all three of those is £797.
Oh.
That's a lot. I mean, even if you minus the Axis module, which is £80, 79 technically, but 80.
Yeah, give it a nice round number.
That's still quite a lot. It's still over 700.
Yeah, quite a bit over 700
which is almost like the equivalent, or even a little bit more than buying a racing module bundle and the trucking rim, isn't it? Almost. It's that sort of price, isn't it?
Yeah, the bundle is sort of depending on which one you go for, say £300-400 or £400-500, sorry.
Yeah. And then
plus the wheel on top is another £350 or something.
It's 200, I think, or 299.
Oh, it might have come down then. I'm sure it was 300 itself, but
I think it's 299. I think. Hence why I think you think it's 300.
Yeah. Well, basically it's no difference.
Yeah, basically it's 300. Yeah. But yeah, it's basically the same for. But
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I would argue. Well, it's not much of an argument because they're very different types of simulation. But I would argue going for the wheel and the truck wheel is better because not only are you getting everything to play in one hit, Also with the truck wheel, you can play different things.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it anything with the base wheel, but obviously it gives you a lot more flexibility for the simulation aspect. That was something actually I wanted to comment on about price of all three. I understand why they're not doing a bundle at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a new product. They obviously want to make full money on it at the moment, so they're obviously releasing it as individual products. Fine. They've got to recover their development costs. I can understand that. But, and actually, sorry, adding on to my understanding side is, I get that, as you're saying, this is really a high-end flight stick. However, they've not done flight sticks before. So I think this is a bit of a gamble by them. I know they've got a good reputation, and I'm sure they'll do well with it. I'm sure they won't let us down. But I think it is a gamble for them to go in this hard. We're saying this expensive, like such a high price point, because if it doesn't do well, that'll be a massive hit to their reputation. You know, if there's a problem with it, we hear a lot about sticks with drift.
Yeah.
You know, if there's any of these issues, it's going to be a massive hit for them for such an expensive product before they've even managed to get additional products out. Like, let's say they do, you know, your control arm for larger aircraft or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Before they add in like a throttle control, before they add in your yaw or your rudder control and all that.
Yeah.
All these things that they obviously, I imagine they will add in down the line to expand their flight sim range. It just feels like, I think coming in with something lower on the spectrum would have been better.
Yeah.
Just because they're expanding into effectively a new market.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree, but that's my thought process. Just because that price point is going to price so many people out.
Yeah, it is expensive, because I don't expect a lot of people to pay that much for a flight stick. But yeah, the missing bundles I think is a missed opportunity at the moment. But I get it. They want to, as you said, maximize their profits. But I mean, first of all, you're playing already something modular, as we know, is going to be more expensive. You know, it's like buying Fanatec or Moza over one of the Logitech belt-driven wheels. That's going to be cheaper. That's an all-in-one unit. You can't swap anything out. The more expensive stuff has that modularity, so you are paying for that modularity into that Moza ecosystem, or even a third party. Because I know there is some leeway with some third-party stuff with Moza as well, although I don't know the exact details of that. But also there's, I don't know, it just seems that they seem to do this high-end stuff, so they want to start this sort of high thing. This was actually unveiled, I think, at one of the flight sim comms as well, when I read the announcement in the Moza Discord. So chances are lots of flight sims have actually had a go of it, because also it's how does this thing perform versus everything else. But I also think it's that point again with the force feedback, the amount of torque. There's not, from our very limited knowledge, this isn't really a thing in flight sim stuff. So yeah, of course it's gonna bump that price up because of that force feedback in terms of its features, but also because of the quality. You know, think about the materials that this thing is made out of. It's not plastic, it's aluminium.
Yeah.
And all that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, alloy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do understand that. And like I said, I understand that, especially if bringing out a new product, you need to recoup your development costs. 100% get that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I say this a lot with expensive things. I feel like you price a lot of people out. And especially when you're launching a new product, I feel like you want to get people involved so that when you bring out the more expensive products down the line, or these better products, people go, oh, well, I like their earlier stuff. And that worked really well. And I know they got good quality making these products, so I'll get the better one. That's the way I think anyway. Maybe other people don't. Maybe other people go, no, I want to go all in right from the start. And, you know, that's each their own. But to me, it just, I don't know, it seems silly to me. But what do I know?
Yeah, I personally wouldn't buy that much on a fighter stick. Not unless I was really into it. Really into it. I'm just a filthy casual, so I'll stick with my Thrustmaster. Yeah, even though my yaw doesn't work properly, but hey, I live with it. Yeah, but I also think that this Moza's like one of I think I've basically said this before, is the I think it's the first proper, as in first more mid to range company to delve into this way and where they're going in terms of expanding. Because obviously Thrustmaster and Logitech, they have flight sticks, they have racing wheels, they have all the shebang. But what I mean is the more a company like Moza or a company like SimuCube or a company like Fanatec, you don't see them doing this, but you're seeing Moza doing this because they're identifying another market that they can go through, and I love that about Moza. They're like, yeah, we see that. Hey, we can do our own thing. Let's do our own thing. They're always going to be known for their racing stuff, but why not try and expand that market, which is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, no, well, I will say, you know, best of luck to them, definitely. I know everything I've heard about their sort of, not just racing, but I guess driving side of peripherals. Everything I've heard is good. I've not heard a bad word against them. It sounds like they do produce top quality products, which is why I said, you know, I'm sure that it will be with this as well, because it sounds like they don't accept anything other than the best.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that it will be good because that is just their sort of their company ethos.
Yeah.
I just, you know, from the outside looking in, or as someone who wants to get into Moza stuff, definitely the price point seems a problem. But you know, best of luck to them. If it works, then you know, I'll take my hat off to them, definitely.
Now, while we're talking about Moza, I added this just before we started recording because this was a new announcement for today, which they teased last week. They've got a new rim out. It's called the Moza Vision GS wheel. And this thing is quite interesting in design. Think of the Vision concept cars that loads of car manufacturers sort of come out with. It's that sort of style wheel, I feel. But also, Moza have beaten Fanatec to the punch because Fanatec have announced a similar sort of a Bentley kind of wheel rim. Which has been announced, but it's not actually officially out yet. So I know a lot of people are comparing it to that a little bit. But this is probably not your standard sort of design, really. It's a little bit more futuristic. It's a little bit different. This thing has 72 programmable inputs. It's got its size. It's a 310mm wheel. And it's got a 2.85-inch high definition circular touchscreen, which is 60 Hz, and that thing stays still in the middle. So when you're turning, it stays like that.
So everything rotates around it.
The rim rotates around it. Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and this thing has a quad-core processor for real-time display rendering. That thing has a quad-core processor.
Right, excuse me, guys. I need to go and sell limbs to fund this. I'll see you all later because I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it is
What in the world?
750 quid for the UK. 750 pounds.
Moza, I know I've just criticised you for your entry into the flight sim world, but shut up and take my money. My God, that thing is incredible.
Yeah. And
look,
obviously,
I'm looking at the photos at the moment. At first I thought it was like an F1 style wheel, but I realised they do an F1 wheel as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is different.
You could mistake an F1 wheel for also a GT style wheel because those two are very similar in style anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. There's a very different, very similar kind of shape and layout, isn't there? And I think that's probably what I was confusing between it. But my God, that thing is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning. I would love to get one of those.
All the content creators that's been given this have all been putting out their videos today because obviously it's been the what's it called, embargo, for
the
release.
NDA's ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In time for this being officially announced, they teased this on Twitter, so we sort of knew that it was going to be a rim, because they sort of displayed a sort of silhouette of it. But yeah, it looks really, really cool. Weather, of course, it's pretty good. I mean, on the website, if you do have a look, this thing, by the way, is touchscreen, so you can slide your thumb across and change what it displays, which is really cool. And yeah, it's just a really nice bit of tech with from Moza yet again. And you can, and also for the website, beautiful. there's an actual shot of it in action where although it's a still image, where the screen's still and and you're turning. I just think that's just ultra cool. And everything.
I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, is it further down?
Yeah, scroll down. It's
I see him swiping. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see the screen. He's turning and he's got the track map on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
your lap
right.
time and your speed.
Editing,
your gear.
Tom. Make sure you put that
of
photo
course,
in.
Yes,
editing, Tom.
Yes, of course.
Not you. Editing, Tom, in the future.
Yes, but editing Tom is me.
No, it's not. Different hat.
Different hat.
Oh, totally different. Oh, mate, that is quality. Oh, I want one.
And it's quality, and for good reason, because it does cost you 750 quid. I mean, I'm not complaining about that price. It's expensive, yes, but for what you get for it, justified. Justified.
Tom, I'm gonna have to sell my car to fund all of my Moza purchases. To fund my Moza purchases. This is ridiculous. Oh, yeah, God.
They're bringing out great stuff, and I want to see more. Obviously, because obviously the trucking signals are coming out at some point as well, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's even more.
I'm gonna have to take out a second job just to fund my Moza purchases.
I don't know how people can fund this. That sim race, man. How do they do it? I have no idea. But I want stuff, and I want Moza. It is pretty cool. And I'm just gonna briefly mention that since our last Moza discussion, they actually brought out what's called the R5, which is also compatible with Xbox. So console, you now have a wheel rim and base bundle that you can play on your Xbox as well as PC. It's PC and Xbox compatible. It's a slightly cheaper one, and it's compatible with the Moza wheel, Moza TSW wheel, the trucking wheel. So if you want to be even cheaper than the R5, I think that one's got 4 Newton meters of torque. I think is the R3. I think it's 3.9 actually, to be precise.
Just trying to put it up.
That's the more entry level one. If you want something a little bit more cheaper, I think it's 300.
I would tell you, but it's still loading. Taking it sweet tight. Oh, here we go.
I think it's
£399 currently.
Okay, yeah. So it's roughly 100 quid difference, roughly, between that and the R5.
3.9 Newton meter motor. So
yeah. So that's relatively new for Moza. Relatively. Obviously, this new Vision wheel is the newest thing from them. But that's all cool. And obviously on the website it tells you what's compatible, what isn't compatible, and actually even though it's the entry-level wheel, what I like is majority of the stuff is compatible. There's just they've done some V1 and V2 of some of these rims. It's just the V2 can work, just not the V1, which I suppose is for people that have already bought stuff because they don't sell the V1s anymore. It's just the version 2s of them.
Right, okay.
So actually there's not a lot that restricts you, even from the R3 point of view, because they want to keep as many people in, no matter what sort of base, I suppose. There's a few things here and there, but it's not much.
Yeah, they're trying to keep everything compatible with each other.
Very small, yeah. So even if you can just afford the R3, you can basically get everything that you want which is nice.
I was just having a look at it, and there doesn't seem to be much between them. So
yeah, I mean, the only major difference
the R5 is more powerful.
Yeah, obviously it's got a bit more torque, and the major difference is it's got the Xbox buttons on. But other than that, you know, even if you wanted more buttons,
well,
there will be another rim out there that you can buy and swap the rims off anyway. So
I was going to say, I'm sure you'll be able to get that on its own at some point. So
yeah, exactly.
If not already.
Yeah, so a great little bundle that comes with a wheel clamp and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, quite good. I could talk about sim racing Moza all day, and you could talk about the next topic, but we're going to talk about the next topic because it's Warhammer time. It's not Hammer time, it's Warhammer time.
It's Warhammer time, boys and girls. Right, time for my Warhammer update. We're starting off with bad news.
Oh no!
Bad news. We're all going to be sad for a moment.
Oh no!
Because the beta's been cancelled.
Well, that's me never playing the game ever.
But wait,
there's more.
They've cancelled. There is more. They have cancelled the beta. It is sad. I mean, I signed up for it as soon as they announced that they were going to do a beta, and you could obviously register interest. But what they've basically said is that, you know, they're so close to release now. Rather than trying to push out a beta that people can jump in on, and they'll get mixed feedback from that, because obviously some people do give solid feedback. Some people will just play it because they can. I'm in the latter camp, I must be honest.
Yeah, I would just play it because it's free, you know?
Yeah. But that said, I understand where they're coming from, because rather than spending time on pushing that out and then obviously working on whatever comes back in, they can just focus on polishing the game. The game is pretty much close to release. Tom, actually, you sent me something which said that the game had gone gold now.
Yes.
Which you had to explain to me what that meant. So
yes.
Would you like to explain to the boys and girls at home?
Yes, so going gold it's not like a music award where it's sold so many copies, because that doesn't make sense. In the game industry, what that means is it's finished. It's ready to be properly published. So it's all ready. It's ready to go. They're ready to press that publish button. Yeah.
So, look, that was... I mean, basically they announced that with more or less 2 months to go, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, basically what they're saying is, rather than trying to push out a beta and then quickly scramble to fix any bugs that come up, they can just focus on the bug fixing now.
Yeah, it's
so
just
they obviously have their internal testers.
But basically, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
But I imagine they'll do some more bug fixing and polishing anyway.
Well, yeah, that's the point. I mean, they have their own internal testers anyway. They have people working on the game, and I imagine review copies have already gone out at this point. So again, any feedback they get from that, they can obviously work on that as well. So I kind of see where they're coming from, and I kind of agree with it. I'd rather have the polished game come September than having a load of game-breaking bugs. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. And plus, there's a nice little sort of thank you for signing on to the beta. They're giving out a free bolt pistol skin, just for signing anyone that was signed up prior to the announcement. Doesn't give you any kind of benefits, so it's not like a pay to win or anything like that. It's just a nice little thank you. So I think that's quite cool. I will be looking forward to registering that. I'm pretty sure they're sending out codes for that, so I'll register that code for my game, definitely, to show my support for the Empyrean. Next thing that we want to talk about, we're back to the good news now. It's all right. Sad news is out of the way. We can move on. We're all happy again.
Yeah.
Because we had the gameplay trailer. We like. We had a bit of a breakdown, and it's talked a little bit more about the 3 modes that we're going to be getting in Space Marine 2. So, first of all, we obviously have the gameplay. There's a little bit of gameplay that's been revealed from single player. It looks very good. I know I keep saying pretty much the same thing, but when it comes to Space Marine, or really Warhammer games in general, I think it's really important to capture the feel of that universe.
Yeah.
It's a universe with a very rich setting, very varied and wide-ranging lore, and replicating that so that when you play the game it feels right is so important. That's something that Space Marine 1 did really well. So for anyone that played the first game, we're obviously looking out for that as a major part of playing Space Marine 2. And just from what we're seeing in the gameplay so far, it really feels like it encapsulates that and has emulated that once again. So I'm really excited about that. The story looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to fighting against some dirty bugs. Damn Tyranids. Next thing they've announced, obviously, is the cart mode. It has now been revealed to be a side story alongside the main campaign. So the main campaign will follow Lieutenant Titus, and I think there's a couple of Space Marines with him, as they journey across 3 worlds, actually. Should have mentioned that. There's 3 worlds that will be operating across. Yep. They've also hinted at DLC down the line, so we might get more story and possibly more places to visit, which I'm very excited about the idea of. But yeah, cart mode, we already knew this would be you and 2 friends. One of you plays a sergeant, the other 2 play some battle brothers. And you get to customize your loadout, customize your appearance. You will unlock things as you play through these missions. Looks like a lot of fun, and as I say, it all looks like it will tie in with the main story, so that will be quite entertaining. I'm looking forward to playing through that. Look, I enjoy the extra story stuff. It's always fun. And then yeah, so for the PvP mode, I guess that's called Eternal War. It's going to be Space Marines versus Chaos Space Marines. I think we might have seen that previously, but it's definitely confirmed now. Again, we've got the full customization element. You can pick various weapons. There might even be weapon upgrades from what I'm seeing. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work yet. They're not 100% confirmed it. It's just obviously images that we're seeing. But it looks like there may be some customization around the weapons as well in some form or another. So far from what I've seen of Eternal War, it looks like sort of team deathmatch type mode. And it looks like there's some kind of capture the flag mode as well. I don't know much beyond that. Those are the only things that I've really picked up on from the trailers so far. One thing I did pick up on though, and I want to point that out, is in one of the trailers I saw a Dreadnought. Now, in Space Marine 1, there was a Dreadnought DLC that came out, and it introduced a new game mode for multiplayer, where one player, I think you unlocked it as like a power-up or something. You got to play as the Dreadnought. So you'd stomp around as this Dreadnought, wiping things out as you wandered around the map. It was really cool. It was really well received. I'd like to see that return, and just seeing that in the multiplayer trailer, or the multiplayer part of the trailer, sorry, makes me think we might be getting the Dreadnought mode back, which would be really cool, and I'd like to see that, definitely.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that I want to talk about this month for our Warhammer update, which was there was a leak of Space Marine. This leaked on a Russian website. I don't know what the website is, and probably not allowed to share it even if we did. But it was a build of the game from about a year ago, I think was what they were saying. And, you know, it leaked and it is near enough the full game. Obviously a number of bugs and changes that weren't baked into that, but yeah, it has leaked and a number of people have obviously downloaded it and played it. I'm just going to read a couple of things from what Focus Entertainment have come out and said, sort of in the wake of this. So just sort of paraphrasing here, we're deeply touched by the overwhelming support we've received from our community following the leak of an old build of our upcoming game, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Our teams have poured years of hard work, passion and dedication into creating a game worthy of your hopes and expectations, and it's disheartening that many of the surprises we worked to keep secret were spoiled. We're saddened that this build, which will be almost a year old by the time we launch, is how some of our most eager fans will first experience Space Marine 2. Our unwavering commitment has been to deliver the best possible game for our players. This was the driving force behind our decision to spend more time on development and ensure we deliver the best experience that we can. I really feel for them. You know, all the time that they've put into this. Obviously, we was expecting this in winter last year, and we're getting it in pretty much Q3 of 2024. So it's heartbreaking that this is, you know, this has happened to them. They spent so much more time polishing it and bringing it up to, from everything that I'm hearing, the standards that we're expecting, right? We, as Warhammer fans, we've set pretty high standards for this game. But it sounds like they are striving to meet every expectation. And this is obviously I don't know, undone a lot of that work, because the people that have obviously got it have picked it up, started playing it, and gone, oh, hang on, this isn't very good because there's this wrong and that wrong and da 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 da. And it kind of, certainly for them, it spoils that experience. But yeah, I feel like it really undermines the work that Focus and the guys there, and Saber as well, sorry, are obviously putting into the game and working to polish it. Obviously, they've taken that time to really deal with the nitty gritty. I mean, obviously cancelling the beta as well is a sign of that. And yeah, it just feels like I don't know. It's just unfortunate that someone's done that. I mean, that someone has leaked it in the first place I think is unfortunate.
Not to mention, I don't know how many, but probably the players as well that actually seen it, that are looking forward to it, have been spoiled because they want to obviously experience whatever they've put in, or whatever secrets or whatever the things that the devs have secretly put in for fans, whether that's fan service or whether that's just a cool extra piece of whatever it is in the game, and they don't get to experience it firsthand when they're playing it, rather than through a leak.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I'm quite lucky, and touch wood, I won't see any, but I've managed to avoid all the leaks. Anything that I've seen about a leak, I've obviously skipped over or I've closed immediately, and I've not seen anything other than the fact that it has been leaked.
Yeah.
I'm hoping, you know, I've got a little over a month to go. I'm hoping that I'm not going to encounter anything, because I don't want to spoil the story for myself.
Yeah.
And as I said, certainly to you, Tom, and maybe on the podcast, I really want to stream it. And as I do with a fair few story games, I want to share that initial raw experience. So it's really difficult to try and avoid any spoilers, because I know I'm going to love this game. Just I know it. I know it in my soul. So yeah, I'm having to be really cautious at the moment. But yeah, look, guys, those of you out there that have maybe thought about looking for the leak, stay strong. We have basically a month and a week. We're saying a month and a week to go. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, it's like 6 weeks. We can do this. Stay strong, my brothers. For the Emperor, we will survive. We will wait through this. We will play the game together. Pre-order the special edition and get.
Isn't long, is it? When you think about it, it's
no, it's not. It's not. I mean,
near.
The thing is, you know, I think back to sort of Christmas time at the end of last year, and we were saying, oh, you know, when's it going to come out? Because we're getting quite close to the deadline. And then they said they were going to delay it until later on this year. And at the time, I was really upset about it. I was gutted because I was, oh god, it's so far away. But it's come around really quick. It feels like it's come around like that. So 6 weeks will go by in the blink of an eye, guys. Stay strong. Don't look up the leaks. Don't find the leak game, because you'll just ruin it for yourself. You'll ruin the experience. We will wait for the release date. If you buy the higher editions, you get early access as well. And you know your boy has signed on for the early access. I paid that extra money. Shut up and take my money. I was throwing it at the screen. Look, it's going to be good, and we'll all enjoy it together, and we'll stomp bugs, and I'll make Tom play it with me.
I mean, I've got to buy it first, and I've got too many games this year to buy, so I'm not buying it.
Tom.
What?
You're playing this game with me.
Okay.
Even if I have to buy it for you. Okay, it'll be my birthday gift to you to get you to play with me.
Good job. My birthday is later on in September, then, eh?
When is yours?
24th September. I don't mind saying. It's fine.
You're only 2 days before me. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, it's a birthday present to you.
Okay.
And then the birthday present to me is you playing it with me. See, it works. See,
but by that time you finished it, completed it, mate.
No. I'd have finished the campaign.
Yeah.
Which I heard, and I really hope this is true, I heard the campaign is 20 hours long.
That's all right, actually.
Right? I mean, look, if I'm breaking it down in terms of me streaming it, I'm going to be streaming it for 2 or 3 hours at a time, depending on how excited I get and how long I go for.
Yeah.
But if you're breaking it down by that, that's what? I mean, if we go by 2 hours, that's 10 streams.
I mean, I've I think I've streamed
That's not bad.
a little bit more story games than you have, I think. And it does take quite a few weeks, and sometimes it takes me a month to get through a story-based game. And I stream a little bit more than you, don't I? I stream... outside Tuesday Night Trucking, I stream 3 times extra, and I go on for 3 hours each time. And that might take me a month or something. Like Pacific Drive, which is a bit different because it's not a linear story, because because that took me longer than a month, maybe 2 months or something, because the thing with Pacific Drive was, although it's a story-based game, it's one of those things that things can go wrong in a run, and if you screw up your run when you're driving around in Pacific Drive, you have to sort of go back and reset and fix up your car and all that kind of stuff, because there's resources and crafting and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different than a linear story, like, well, Warhammer might not be a linear story, but you get what I mean. It's got that extra crafting and survivability aspect to a story-based game, and that's unpredictable. So naturally, that's going to take you longer anyway. But if you're talking something like an Assassin's Creed game or a Watch Dogs game or something like that, then it probably will take you roughly a month or so.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it will take me long enough to play through it, and then obviously we can play through the co-op bits. We'll get you in on some Eternal War as well. I'm sure we'll both do terribly, but that'll be half the fun of it. Look, as I say every month, I'm excited, guys. I'm absolutely buzzing. You won't see me in September because Tom won't be able to drag me away from that game. No, I'm so excited. Like I say, I'm gonna wrap up my Warhammer update with avoid the leaks, don't find the leaked game, don't ruin it for yourself. Join me in September and we'll crush the Tyranids.
Yeah, cool. Right, I mentioned about games coming out, but I've got too many to really add another one on. But here's another one. So I'm going to talk about Star Wars Outlaws, which is coming out on the 30th of August. So we will be probably talking about this next month as well. But the recent news, which was slightly before the Warhammer news, was Star Wars Outlaws has gone gold, actually. So Star Wars Outlaws went gold, and then a few days later, Warhammer went gold. I was like, all these games are going gold. So yeah, it's done. It's ready to go. It's Star Wars Outlaws, which is exciting. For me, I'm liking the look of it. So IGN have been doing an IGN first. They've been doing some sort of developer interviews, and they're sort of going through. They've been doing a few of these throughout July, and they're doing even more. But this is, I think, one of the first one. One of the first ones. It's an article and a roughly 20-minute video. I do recommend kind of going through it because the devs actually explain their thought and creative process behind why they've done a certain thing, which is always nice. You don't always see this with devs in this perspective of why they've done something. Yes, you can give stick to a game online because, oh yeah, it's a Ubisoft game, or oh, this looks bad, or whatever. But I think you can appreciate the craftsmanship of how they've built the world based on these sorts of things of they're explaining how they've done something and why they've done it and their process, which is really good to see. And I'm going to talk about a few points, not the entire article or the entire video, but a few points which I think are interesting. Some of them are sparked some debate online, so perfect for a podcast.
Absolutely perfect.
So yeah. So this article, this particular segment is how Massive Entertainment built the first open world Star Wars game and what you'll be doing in it. And it's named Star Wars Outlaws wants to be your dream open galaxy. So first of all was the only 5 planets debate. So there's only going to be 5 planets and moons. There's Tashira, Tatooine, Akiva, Kijimi, and Cantonica. Cantonica, is that right? I think so.
I'm going with Cantonica.
Cantonica, yeah. My pronunciation might be a little bit off, but basically,
I'm probably wrong, to be fair.
I I don't know how many are new. Obviously, Tatooine we know, yes. But I think it's the other 4 I'm less familiar of. You've played Empire at War, so you probably know planets more than I do, even just looking at the names. Have we maybe seen one here?
I'll be honest, they're not ringing any bells. I was going to do a quick Wikipedia.
I think most of those are relatively new, or I would say new to Star Wars fans that don't consume every single piece of knowledge around the galaxy. So this discussion about there's only gonna be 5 planets, and they won't be all instantly available to hyperdrive between. And this is a quote saying it won't be long until Kay's journey to the galaxy opens up. So obviously you're going to start with one particular planet. I think they said that you crash land somewhere and you kind of get used to the world, and then it sort of opens up to all the other sort of moons and planets. And I would argue that 5 isn't a lot, but it's also a lot in itself, because if you think about the scale of these planets that they've crafted, that's something completely different. But also, what I don't get the criticism, or some criticism, that some people in some corners of the internet are saying, because it's only 5 planets, but these are 5 crafted planets. These aren't procedurally generated like Starfield. These are handcrafted, and there are decisions made and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think 5 planets. And there's another couple of games that has roughly 5 planets, and they have done amazingly. Do you know what I'm talking about, Joe? I think you will. What other game has 5 planets that's very well received?
Is that Jedi Survivor?
Yeah. Survivor/Fallen Order. They roughly have 5.
I forgot how many they had, but okay, yeah, that makes sense.
5, 6 sort of locations or planets that you jump to, and I like that sort of gameplay, and because that's not the entire focus. Is the travel isn't the focus. In Jedi Survivor, it's you being Cal Kestis, going against the Empire as a Jedi after Order 66. In this, it's between Empire Strikes Back and a new Jedi as a scoundrel in the Outer Rim. What they've also said is there's a very structured intro that leads you into a crash land on Tashara. Yeah, this is the quote I was talking about, which is a moon that we created with Lucasfilm games. Once you finish that sort of linear narrative on Tashara, the other planets open up. It becomes completely non-linear, and you can choose to tackle those worlds in any order you want. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think the 5 planets is a downside. If anything, it's an upside. In fact, the next point that I will be making kind of ties into this.
When you were talking about only being 5 planets, the one thing I was going to say on that was, in my opinion, it depends on how big the area is that we can explore on each of those planets.
Yeah.
It also depends on how much the open worldness plays a part in it.
Yeah.
Because there's, basically I don't want to have an open world for the sake of having an open world.
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt a little bit with the open areas in Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
We had these open world areas, in air quotes, but it felt like realistically the only thing that mattered was going to my mission objective or moving through it. So,
we discussed this a little bit last month, but I think it's semi-open world as Jedi Survivor. It's more of a Metroidvania style world where you've got an area, and then you go through another one, because you sort of have to load into another one. Don't you sometimes within that planet, and
like I said, it all depends on how much the open worldness plays a part in it. And again, it might only be 5 worlds, but if you've got a really big open area in each of those 5 worlds, then you're already looking at, across those 5 planets, a larger space to explore than in most open world games. So like I say, I think it depends on how much we can explore and how much that plays a part in the game. I did also look up those 3 planets, and all three do exist. So I started with Akiva. It seems to have come up in a number of books, the Aftermath books, which Tom, have you read those?
No.
Okay, so for you and for anyone listening, Aftermath was a series of books that kind of takes place between episode 6 and 7. Talking about, I think it focuses on the Empire and sort of the Imperial Remnant and how they formulate themselves and how that kind of transitions into the First Order. So it appears in Aftermath, in the Aftermath books. The next one was Kijimi. Again, it appears in a number of sources. It appears in episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. It also appears in the Rise of Skywalker Expanded Edition, which I'm assuming is the book. It also appears in a number of other books as well. It also appears in Star Wars Outlaws.
Obviously,
Of course it does, because we're talking about that. I'm just looking for things that stand out. Right, there's obviously a list of things here, but anyways, there's a few sources that appears in, so that does exist. And Cantonica is in a number of things as well. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It says mentioned only, but it is in Fallen Order. There's also, again, a number of books. It's in Andor, in the episode Aldani, mentioned on a monitor. It appears in a number of the Dr. Aphra comics, which I know are very well loved. And then again, there's a number of books mentioned. I don't think there's any film. Oh, sorry, no, I stand corrected. Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, so it appears in that as well, and obviously again the novelization of that. There's a number of references to them, but I knew
Tashara was the handcrafted one that they made for Outlaws. I wasn't sure about the rest of them. But
and we all know Tatooine. But yeah, it looks like they have, but it looks like they are generally obscure references in other forms of media.
I know a lot of people saying about, oh, we're using Tatooine again and all that kind of stuff, but I don't mind it because it's an Outlaws game, it's a Scoundrel game. You can't have a Scoundrel Outlaws game without Tatooine because you've got Jabba the Hutt on there, and it's probably one of the most ruthless places for that scum and villainy.
Also, like, if you know anything about Star Wars, you know that the criminal underworld revolves around the Hutts.
Yeah.
Not just Jabba the Hutt, but all of the Hutt clans have a finger in every pie. You know, they're involved in everything happens in the underworld. So to have a game focused on that side of the story and the universe.
Yeah, and honestly, you've got Tatooine as the main sort of well-known planet, but then you've got everything else, which are either moons or planets that are either new, like Tashara, or the rest of them that aren't exactly well-known to the point where it's now putting more of a spotlight on them. So I like the fact that they've gone, okay, we're taking Tatooine as the main thing that everybody knows. Yep, something familiar, something new, and something borrowed. You know, which is also nice to see.
The other thing with obviously the 3 borrowed planets, is because they're so obscure, it gives them a lot of space to work with. Yeah,
because they've not really been touched on too much.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember which one I said appeared in Dr. Aphra. It might have been Kijimi. But that one arguably is going to be the most fleshed out because it appears in, you know, like 20 of the comics.
Yeah.
So arguably that one is, but if you're a really big fan of the Dr. Aphra comics, hopefully you're going to be seeing this world and going, oh, hang on a minute, I recognise all that because Aphra's been there and all this.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little bit of a callback for that. But yeah, the other two definitely are background references. So it would be nice for them to, you know, they've got enough room to work with, but also something that exists already.
And also,
I like it.
I am also one of those people where it's like, oh yeah, I recognise something from another media, and I recognise it in another. I'm like, oh, yes, that's it. Insert the Leonardo DiCaprio meme here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I just love seeing it. Even Tatooine, I think I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool, or you know, because any bets we'll be able to go into the cantina 100%. So
I just want to go in Jabba's palace.
yeah,
I want to go and wander around in there, find
Yeah.
the big slug himself.
it's funny. I think the only game I can think of recently that you can actually sort of explore Jabba's palace a bit is Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga. Actually, I remember walking around that quite often.
Blimey.
It's quite a it's quite a big map, surprisingly. But yeah, I know it's Lego, but yeah, it's still cool to sort of walk around places that you wouldn't normally see in like the films or anything like that. But yeah, the sort of 5 planets debate does actually link into the next point that I thought was interesting from this article, which was the actual map size. This is the quote from the devs saying it was less about how big, but more about how long in terms of traversal with the speeder it would be. Tashara takes 4 or 5 minutes non-stop, which doesn't sound like a lot, but once you're committed to it, it's a fairly large amount, and you're always going to be distracted. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which was one of the games we were looking at while creating this, you have different zones on the map. Tashara is 2 or 3 of those put together.
Oh wow! Okay.
From what I know about Odyssey, I never played it, but Odyssey is quite big. And
yeah, I didn't play a lot, but
I know it's quite big, and that just tells me that it's going to be a big. But think about it, non-stop in a straight line. I'm assuming 4 to 5 minutes. That's a long time. That's the size we're looking at here.
Yeah, I was going to say I do agree with them on, you know, if you're building a world, you've got to build it on your fastest mode of travel. Because it's all well and good making it 4 or 5 minutes to run across the map, but as soon as you jump on the speeder, that's 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We all know how quickly those things go. So, I agree with him on that, actually.
Because I think some people might think automatically, 4 to 5 minutes generally isn't too long, but if you're on a speeder, bear in mind we don't really know how fast exactly K's speeder goes, but we've watched the trailer, we've watched some gameplay, we roughly know how fast it is. They recently revealed a gameplay trailer clip of 10 minutes where she's on Tatooine. She has to go to a Scarlac pit for the second mouth tooth, and she's on a speeder for a lot of that mission. Although they cut some of that out, you can see how fast and how traverse that speeder is, and I honestly think 4 to 5 minutes it is a long time. And bear in mind, this is excluding space areas, which is a really good point actually, because there's the space thing where you can interact with space, do the battles, help people out, and explore a little bit as well. So, you know, I honestly think that the amount that we get to explore in Star Wars Outlaws isn't as bad as you think it is when you think about it. But also, this also links to another point, which is distracted by curiosity is what they sort of phrased it as. This is another quote. We knew early on that if you got distracted by curiosity, the world had to react to that. They had to expect that the players going off the beaten path, which is really true. And I think the best one that does this in recent years is Red Dead Redemption 2. When you're trotting around or running around on your horse, you've got all these ambient things. You can help somebody, or you get ambushed, don't you? Or stuff like that, and that sort of tries to distract you. And obviously, Rockstar, being Rockstar, do this in a very good way, but it's also a very good example of this. And I think that's what they're trying to do. Oh, that's a cool looking thing. What's that over there? Or something ambient like being interacted with from NPCs or whatever scale that it is. I think adding that into the 4 to 5 minutes directly from one end to the other is going to really extend people's, depending on who you are. I know some people will want to just go to the objectives and not do anything like that, but there will be some other players that will want to say, actually, I want to go off, I want to go that way, I want to check what this out, or what is that over there, you know? So that's quite, I think, good in the way that this has been perceived as well. And going back to that sort of what your point saying about, 4 to 5 minutes walking is different from a sort of speeder bike. I've talked about Red Dead Redemption being a really good example, a really terrible example of all this. You might know what I'm about to talk about is, you know what your objective is based on the map. In this, you don't really know your objective. You might know some of the key areas, but you don't really know what you're doing, and then you're running over rocks and stuff for 6 minutes or whatever, and then you've done that next. Obviously, the bad example for that is Starfield, which you might have guessed I was floating towards. Yeah. Because obviously you don't have any speeder bikes and all that kind of stuff, and that's procedurally generated planets as well.
Yeah.
So everything's very much generic, dare I say, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think that's one of the things of my turn off for Starfield as well, is that aspect of it. The worlds weren't interesting. Sure, you had loads of them and there was some variety, and there were some nice areas of those planets, but it just didn't sit
but the only thing of interest on them was the missions,
and some of them are just literally you running over and jumping over rocks, which is no actual fun, full stop.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Now, based on all this, what I've been seeing is my last point is a bit of Ubisoft Red Mist. And I phrased it like this because I think loads of people are looking at Star Wars Outlaws and they're thinking it's a Ubisoft title. It's automatically going to be bad. Obviously, this is this is unrelated to the IGN first, but it's everyone just being uneasy about the game because it's coming from Ubisoft. Don't get me wrong, you have every right to, because, Ubisoft probably doesn't have as many great games in the past few years. But yes, it's a Ubisoft studio, but it's made and developed by Massive Entertainment. And what is Massive Entertainment's portfolio? Well, they made AC Revelations, or they at least collaborated on it. Far Cry 3, although Far Cry 3 was made by Ubisoft Montreal, but I'm assuming Massive had some partake in the development cycle for Far Cry 3, because they have it listed on their website.
Yeah.
And of course, The Division 1 and 2, and their most recent edition, which is Avatar Frontiers and Pandora. That's the same studio, which obviously you've played a little bit of. And I know you have
going to complain about Avatar.
I know you sort of have a complaint about it, but from what I've seen, the way that they've crafted their worlds seems great.
I was going to say, although I'm frustrated with Avatar and I haven't gone back to it for a while, I will concede that the world is beautifully made, and I could spend hours just exploring that forest.
Yeah.
I don't have to go and do missions. I don't have to fight. Just going and exploring that world.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
no, I will give them that.
I mean, yeah, have your reservations about it. I know some gameplay that's come out recently hasn't looked particularly good. A lot of people that have been playing some of these content creators have gone and played some demos in locations, and they've said, this isn't what I played. It looks like the settings have been dialed a lot down. Obviously, other people are concerned that this is Ubisoft sort of dumbing it down for launch, which is classic on their part, because of particularly Watch Dogs 1 looks basically nothing like its trailer or all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't say I'm fully confident, but I'm pretty sure it was either ran on a console on lower settings or an Xbox Series S rather than an X, or it was just a PC on lower settings, or simply it's an older build. We don't know. Although these videos are coming out on IGN's YouTube channel quite regularly now, there's quite a few now to sort of look onto now. It's quite, I'm still hopeful that it's not what it perceives, because I'm always thinking, well, Twitter and the internet are sort of over-exaggerating a lot, but sometimes they don't, which I get. I know there's reservations for some people that can be uneasy about it. But I judge a game based on gameplay that I've seen, and I'm quite happy with the gameplay that I've seen, to the point where I'm really happy and I want to play this game come 30th of August, or even earlier if I get gold.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I would rather reserve my judgment for the way the game is rather than what people are saying. And look, I understand in the modern day, the modern age, where everything is available on the internet. I know that can be difficult. You know, we're very loud on the internet, let's say, and we obviously share our opinions. I mean, we're sitting here doing that for an hour and a half, 2 hours a month ourselves, sharing our opinions on games and stuff.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. I would rather, as much as I listen to various different things or watch different things, I'd rather go and play it myself or see the gameplay myself and base my decision on what I'm seeing in that sense.
Because now I have a policy I have done for a while now, is if I don't see any gameplay, I'm not buying. And if I get to try it with a demo or a beta or something, that's even better, because obviously watching gameplay is a little bit different than actually playing. Yeah. But there's also that element is, do I think this gameplay looks fun to play? And if that's yes, no matter who says it on Twitter or whoever, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it and buy it. It's the reason why I'm interested in the new Assassin's Creed this year, because I enjoyed that, and I don't usually buy an Assassin's Creed game. Yes, Joe?
I was just going to say, you base your opinion like that, except when it comes to Space Marine 2, which you are playing. You're playing it with me.
Well, yeah.
Kicking and screaming if I have to.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just think a lot of people do blow it out of proportion, particularly on the internet, and it's for all the gameplay that we've seen from Star Wars Outlaws, it looks very good thus far. And then they've done this 10-minute gameplay, which I must admit doesn't look as great as they have done previously. It might be a one-off. It might have been a bit of naff footage that they've sent IGN. And the next one might be looking great, or you could perceive that as they're now downgrading for launch. But the game's gone gold, so I don't know what to tell you really. Depends on your perspective on which side of the coin you want to be on with that.
Do you know what? I think it also begs the question of whether IGN have a press build. They have some early press release version of the game, and then some intern has gone and played it on, the machine that's turned all the settings all the way down.
You say that, and I think Massive record these videos and then send them to IGN rather than having a press.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how they're probably working it, and then they've got an embargo say, okay, you can release this video now, and because obviously it's got the
footage we want this to go out on this date.
If you've not seen any of these sort of clips or clips of some of these missions or partial of these missions, IGN obviously do their own sort of commentary at the start or throughout the video, just explain stuff, and then it lets the mission play out, and then there's a little bit of an outro bit, so there is a bit of insight from IGN, a little bit of what they know. So I think it's videos that they've done sent across, so whether we're right or wrong, we don't know, and we probably won't ever know, because Massive probably won't tell anybody how they've put it across. But
it's probably good to mention we are just speculating. Unfortunately, we don't have any insider information. We theory craft for an hour and a half or 2 hours every month. And we talk about stuff that we've read online. So look, take what we're saying with a pinch of salt. We're sharing our ideas with you. We'd love to hear your ideas as well. So if you've got any different theories or things that you're excited about, definitely let us know in whatever comment section you have access to.
But regardless, I'm quite looking forward to Star Wars Outlaws. I think it looks good. I think some of the gameplay aspects look great, and I would recommend watching some of the stuff, because some of the stuff is 10 minutes and stuff, but some of the stuff is 10 minutes of raw gameplay. Although some bits might be a little bit cut, because they may be cutting the travel time out a little bit, just to for sake of maybe video time. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. And in fact, going back to that, I mentioned that they showed going to the Sarlacc pit, which obviously a creature that we know if you've ever watched the original trilogy.
Yep.
I didn't realize how big one of those was.
The Sarlacc?
Yeah. I didn't realize how big that thing was, and the fact that it had a second mouth, because it was the first time I thought, because I'd never brought up the anatomy. My God, is that thing terrifying? Because you only see the mouth and you think it's just this tiny worm. It's like it's like a TARDIS in there. But it spreads out so big.
Yeah, the Sarlacc is a horrifying monster.
Yeah, it is. You see just the mouth and you think, oh, it's a little space worm, and then you bring up
he's a little bitey dude.
You bring up the anatomy, and obviously I know that creature is incredibly dangerous, because based on obviously what we've seen in the Book of Boba Fett on how he got out. We know it's dangerous, hence why otherwise Jabba the Hutt wouldn't use it, would he, as a execution method? Yeah. I'm not saying it's cute and cuddly, I'm just saying the scale of it, I was surprised of how big it was, because I don't go into that much depth. I love Star Wars and I consume everything, but sometimes I don't go and Google a specific creature that we've seen and is known to the point where I've seen the anatomy. But I've now seen the anatomy after Googling it.
I mean, you can probably Google it at home as well. But I've Googled up the dimensions. It is 3 meters wide, 100 meters deep. Yeah.
It's and you get to experience how big that thing is in Star Wars Outlaws. And this, by the way, this mission is in relation to one of the experts. So you have to visit the Jawas, and because you want a new turret on your ship, and they want a tooth from the second mouth. In order to install this turret, so you've got to go in a dead Sarlacc, by the way, it's dead. So you've got to go in, but there's also competition because these tooths are very valuable. So you've got other people competing with you as well. So you're having to do this entire venture and go into there, and honestly, go and watch the gameplay video. It's very interesting. Particularly walking around the insides of a space worm. Yes. Yeah. And I think that's gonna wrap everything up, unless you have anything else to say about Star Wars Outlaws.
No, I don't think so. I'm still umming and ahhing about it. I think I'm just gonna wait for it to come out. Probably watch you playing it, and then decide if I want to get it from there. Yeah, because I don't seem to be able to make up my mind on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm all up for it. I keep watching these videos, and every single one, it's just just give me the game. I'm really enjoying it, and the music score is fantastic as well, and it's great. So yeah. One last thing, you know, Nyx, the little creature that Kay has. No. Oh, yes, yeah. Do you know who voices that? No. I'll give you a clue. It is a voice actor that is renowned in the Star Wars community and has voiced the most amount of characters. Bear in mind, those characters might be very similar to each other. Right, now hang on, because I always get these names mixed up. Is it D. Bradley Baker? Yes, it is. Oh, okay. D. Bradley Baker voices Nyx in Star Wars Outlaws. And I found that out the other day, and I thought, oh my god, that is so cool. All right. Do you know why? It was because the actor for Kay was going. I think they were going to a convention, or they were going to some sort of panel or something, and it said, the tweet said, I think it'd be whatever her name is. I've forgotten her name. And D. Bradley Baker, who voices Nyx. I was like, what? Sorry. Come again? What? He voices that.
that little creature. But that is so cool that we get to see D-Brother. I don't know if he's voiced anything else in Star Wars games, but that's the first I've heard of. At the moment,
I wouldn't be surprised if he.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's voiced something in Fallen Order or Survivor or something. Yeah. So that's a bit of useless Star Wars knowledge, I'm gonna say. I suppose technically everything's useless Star Wars knowledge because you don't really use it in real life anyway. It's just a fun little fact.
I'm going to expand on your fun little fact because I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, Nix is voiced by D. Bradley Baker. The script for Nix consists of lines such as "curious squeak" and "relaxed chirp." Baker was allowed to interpret these lines when providing sound effects.
Yeah, it's him just being a creature. That's what I mean. Like it's unusual for his sort of role. Usually he has an actual speaking humanoid role. But no, he gets to make noises behind a microphone. That's what he does.
It was basically him standing in a sound booth for 3 hours, and someone went, "Okay, D, yeah, just do whatever feels natural, mate. Yeah, go for it." And him going, "All right then." For 3 hours. Love it. It's great.
Yeah. It's funny when you find out that someone actually voices a creature that doesn't actually speak, because you're like, they must come up with
they have fun with it.
Yeah. You've got to come up with all these different sounds and noises for all these different actions, even just walking or reacting to something. Yeah.
He walked in there and went, right, what can I push myself to do today? What can I make my voice do? Let's try it out. Let's just see.
Yeah, it reminds me of the interview, I think it was on the Graham Norton show with Tom Hanks, saying that he had to make all the sort of breathless noises when climbing a ladder as Woody in Toy Story, or stuff like that. Just climbing, having to do that as a voice actor. I'm thinking, wow, these guys are talented more than you think.
Yeah,
because they've got to do the voice and make that really, what's the word? Natural. But also they've got to do stuff in relation to running and walking and being hurt and going up a ladder or climbing something and what noises they would make. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I don't think we really think about that enough.
Yeah.
But when you hear someone, as you say, like Tom Hanks talking about it and explaining the process that goes into that, and you think, hang on a minute, how...
Oh, wait a minute, they have to do that, yeah.
How can they get their mind in that state that they can make these noises that when you watch the film, you don't even think, oh yeah, that feels right.
Yeah.
It is, you just accept it.
Yeah.
I think that just shows just the amount of talent that these people have.
Yeah. And I think that's going to conclude this month's lovely little podcast. So thank you very much for tuning in. Watching if you're on YouTube, listening if you're on Spotify or anything else that you've been listening to us on, like Apple or Amazon. If you do want to give us a follow, give us a rating and a review on the podcast platform of your choice, you can do so. We're next going to be doing a podcast on the 28th of August 2024, so that's when it'll be next sort of live. In fact, 28th of August is one day after Gold Early Access for Star Wars Outlaws, and a day or two before. When we record this is a little bit earlier, so regardless of when Star Wars Outlaws, although it's in between the Early Access and the launch, but it wouldn't have played it yet, but it would be soon.
You can point out.
What?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to point out it's a week before my Early Access for... Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
You best believe I'm going to be absolutely bouncing off the walls at that point.
Oh, yeah. If you want to stay up to date, we can be found as in Fandom's Edge can be found on Instagram and YouTube. You just need to search Fandom's Edge Podcast in the search engine of your choice. And we both personally can be found on Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. All those links are going to be in the description. I'm under Maverick RNG, and Joe is under Familiar Force. And we'll see you in the next one.
On the Fandom's Edge.